it leads to another question, which is the division of responsibilities for covert action between the Defense Department and the CIA, the Title 10, Title 50 distinctions. From all of the testimony we've gathered and the evidence, this clearly was a point of disagreement and dysfunction, with fingers being pointed on each side at the other for not doing what they should be doing or not having the capabilities that they should have. There have been proposals that are very active today that really recommend that CIA not be in these operations, these paramilitary operations, that instead the Title 50 kinds of operations be given to the Special Operations Command with CIA participation, but that there be a unified command that is tasked with that kind of responsibility. What do you think of that?
I'm all, as an American, I'm all for what works. I think the record of the Central Intelligence Agency responding after 9/11, having the plan surging into Afghanistan, setting it up for the warriors to win that battle with low loss of life in a way that I think was highly efficient, as stated by the President of the United States, I think is an example of where the two can work together effectively. I personally believe they can work together far more effectively. Anything that you can do to cement this relationship so it's even closer, particularly with the U.S. Army Special Forces and the Central Intelligence Agency. I personally believe that's our future. In fact, in Afghanistan, when you see these personnel together, the civilians and the military are indistinguishable, and they all bring particular skills to the battlefield. So I think that's an area of great growth. We have a lot of commonality, and it should be encouraged.
The White House declined to provide access, but the joint inquiry was able to develop some information about their content. Notwithstanding the extensive efforts to guide CIA covert action against bin Laden, actual efforts to implement covert action and military operations against him in Afghanistan before September 11th were very limited. A central element in these efforts was the Counterintelligence Center, established in 1996 to focus exclusively on bin Laden and his terrorist network. Initially, the unit was created to examine terrorist financing and to determine whether bin Laden posed a significant threat. In February 1998, bin Laden issued his public fatwa, authorizing attacks on American civilians and military personnel anywhere in the world. His statement, subsequent indictment in the United States, added urgency to the effort to formulate a covert action plan against him. The next 3 pages are redacted. The president ordered the United States Navy on August 20th, 1998, to launch cruise missiles against targets in Afghanistan and Sudan. This is the only instance the joint inquiry had been able to identify in which the CIA or U.S. military carried out an operation directly against bin Laden before September 11th. According to the president's public statements at this time, the cruise missile strikes were launched in self-defense against groups that had played key roles in the embassy bombings, had executed earlier attacks against Americans, were planning to launch additional attacks, and were attempting to obtain chemical weapons. All personnel interviewed on this matter by the joint inquiry concur that one objective of the strikes in Afghanistan was to kill bin Laden. In the summer and fall of 1999, following the arrival of a new chief of counterterrorism and a new chief of the bin Laden issue station, Counterterrorism Center reviewed its covert action program against bin Laden and developed the plan. The review was propelled by the DCI's September 1998 memorandum declaring war against bin Laden. The plan had resulted in September 1999 contained 5 main elements, with an estimate of each element's purpose and prospects for success. In the Counterterrorism Center's view, although there was lots of desire at the working level, there was reluctance at the political level, and it was unlikely that the JSOC will ever deploy under current circumstances. In testimony before the joint inquiry, the Director of Counterterrorism and the DCI acknowledged impediments to the plan. Quote, U.S. policy stopped short of replacing the Taliban regime, limiting the ability of the U.S. government to exert pressure on bin Laden. U.S. relations with Pakistan. The principal access to Afghanistan was strained by the Pakistani nuclear tests in 1998 and the military coup in 1999. The U.S. government had no official presence in Afghanistan, and relations with the Taliban were seriously strained. Both factions made it more difficult to gain access to bin Laden and al-Qaeda personnel, end quote. Over time, Counterterrorism Center officers engaged in these covert action efforts concluded that getting bin Laden required dealing with the Taliban regime first. They believed that the different means of capturing bin Laden were unlikely to succeed as long as the Taliban continued to provide bin Laden a safe haven. In addition, CIA officers recognized that the entire al-Qaeda apparatus in Afghanistan, and not just bin Laden, was a problem. Thus, placing pressure on the Taliban to expel bin Laden and end its support for terrorism was necessary. While it appears that the CIA was not able to mount a single operation against bin Laden directly before September 11th, CIA redacted were key factors in U.S. military execution of Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan beginning in October of 2001. Director of Central Intelligence alluded to this in his testimony before the joint inquiry on June 18th and 19th of 2002.